Not to be nosy, but how much are these liens for?
The liens, I have copies, if anybody wants any copies.
No, just round numbers. I'm just curious.
For that last year, 680, but now they're probably adding another year onto that.
They're
with more
adding late fees and late.
And this Eileen Gordon.
With late
change
fees.
here.
This attorney needs to be disbarred.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Sharon Jacobs, 16 Ivy Lane, Rainbow Lakes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing us to speak. Mr. Lott, I had spoken with you about a year and a half ago. It was the week that you were out sick with the flu, really, and I had explained to you about all this craziness that was going on, and you were gracious enough to give me a lot of time, and I appreciate that. Not that you were able to do anything. We're here because we need your help. Doors have been just slamming in our faces. What this attorney is doing throughout the state is disgraceful. It's unethical. I'm just going to add to what Linda said. Linda McKenna and her husband, we've all kind of banded together. We were the initial 5. There are about 30 of us. You know, we are our brothers and sisters keepers in this world, I believe. There are 30 of us that decided not to become members of this voluntary membership community. My husband and I have lived there for 35 years. Prior to us looking at the property, my question to the realtor was, if this is a lake community, my aunt and uncle lived around Lake Parsippany, so we were familiar with the area. I said, look, if it's a lake community, I don't want, if we have to be members, we're not interested. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. My husband and I are members of a homeowners association in a condo up in Sussex, 30 years plus. When we signed at the closing, we signed to be members of that homeowners association, and I got a book of bylaws. This club is now being run by a bunch of bullies. They're not bullying a few of us, quite a few of us, but they have scared seniors, and I provide senior services for 70, 80, 90, and 100-year-olds, so it's in my heart to go out there and fight for the underdog. But we have banded together, and just what Linda said, we were never included in voting for anything. They had 2 meetings at the library to tell us what they were going to do. There was going to be a mandatory membership for their voluntary membership club. Sounds illegal to me. I don't know about you guys, but I think if this were done to you, you would be as outraged as we are. Yesterday I called the Department of Community Affairs and I spoke with one of their paralegals. And it was my understanding that once, God willing, the governor signs this bill, that the liens would be automatically lifted. That's the wording in the bill. And Jay Weber's office has been really behind this and helping us out. God bless them. So I asked this woman, I said, it's my understanding that once the bill is passed, that it comes to your department and that you release these liens and then notify the county. And she says, no, we don't have that authority to do this. She said, she suggested contacting the ethics department. If I'm correct, Linda, you did? Linda got a Dear Jane letter saying that they couldn't find anything wrong with this attorney doing any unethical maneuvers. Contact the Bar Association. And actually, she said, look, this is fraud. If I were you, I'd call the prosecutor's office. And I did yesterday. I was told, I spoke with the prosecutor, and his suggestion was now to go and file a complaint with the police department because of illegal activity. So I don't know, unless you can guide us a little bit better than that. We want to get these damn liens, excuse my frustration, off our properties. What would you guys do if this were done to you or done to your mother or your father?
You need to retain
Ma'am,
counsel. I mean, there's nothing.
1 minute.
Wait,
Everybody
okay.
Wait, hold,
can do that.
let her,
Excuse me.
you have 1 minute left, go ahead.
Thank you. We consulted with two firms. to represent the group anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. How do you like them apples? That's fair, huh? This is their fair share. Thank you for listening. It's a mess.
Thank you.
They should be ashamed of themselves for what they have done to this community. There were seniors, widow and widowers, that paid because they were afraid. And it's really disgraceful. It's really disgraceful. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sabina Vermont. I also
Yes.
live 343 Marcella Road, Parsippany. And like these young ladies were saying, you get a letter in the mail that tells you that
Sabina, can you just speak into the mic? They can't hear you in the back. Sorry.
you get a letter in the mail that tells you that you have to pay this fee that you know nothing about. Like when we got the letter, like, what are they talking about? I live on the highway. I don't live by the lake. I live on the highway. So they give you a letter that says you're going to pay $105 or $115 a year. Now, not being stupid, we know that that $105 and $115 for that first year is going to be $200, $300, and $400 and some odd dollars by the time they're done raising, because they have they could do whatever they want. They get together, they decide what they're going to do. They don't let anybody into their little meetings. Although we're all part of the lake community, so they say, but when we try to get into the meetings to voice our opinion and explain why we think this is unfair, we're not part of the lake community, we cannot do that.
Correct.
So 5 people got together and said, oh, we're gonna take 2,000 homeowners and send them this bill, tell them we're gonna put liens on their houses, and no explanation, no nothing. I bought my house 38 years ago. Nobody has ever said I was part of a lake community. I lived on Northfield Road my whole life. My mom, when we moved up here, she had 5 young children, wanted to join the lake. They told her she's not part of the lake community. Now, all of a sudden, we're all part of the lake community. I don't want to be part of the lake community anymore.
You are
And-
about as far away as you can be.
Exactly. And they want to charge, and like I said, $105 are all right, $105, but we know that's not going to be $105. They went from $5,000 in administration fees to $125,000 to hire somebody outside to bill us and take care of this. So we know that $105 is going to go to pay that, and then whatever they want to do is what's going to be added on year after year after year. I just don't think it's right. I think that it's like taxation without representation when they did this. I think they should have got the community together and said, listen, let's get a fundraiser going. Let's have a bingo night. Let's have this. Maybe they could have raised money for whatever it is that they're lacking. But they chose to just be bullies and send letters out and scare people. People have paid because they were afraid of what they were going to do. Everything they did, the way they did it is wrong. And I pray that the governor does the right thing also. And the lawyers that they hire, they hired her to send the letters, charge the interest, put the liens on our homes. It's a big scam, if you ask me. And I also heard, and I don't know that this is true, but it's in my mind, they want to redo their clubhouse and they want to get a liquor license. Who's going to pay for all that? I don't want to pay for all that. I think, like I said, what they did, the way they did it is wrong. They could have done many other ways, opened their conversations to everybody so everybody could voice their opinion. They chose not to do any of that. It's wrong. I hope that everybody sees that it's wrong. And like I said, I'm praying the governor signs that.
Sabina, it's my understanding, just a quick question,
Yes.
that at this point that matter was in litigation and there was temporary injunctive relief that was prohibiting members from paying a fee and additionally prohibiting the Lake Parsippany Owners Association from putting on liens at this particular point. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah.
But however, there are people that had already paid because they didn't
Yes,
know
and
about
that
it.
goes into a trust to be held until the matter has been resolved. Just to clarify the whole what's going on here at this particular
Absolutely.
point.
Thank God that we got,
Correct.
a lawyer that can help us and,
All right.
Please.
Mary, come to the microphone
Oh, no.
so we
No,
can.
she can't.
No?
Yeah, wait. wait, no, hold on. Yeah, we're not gonna have a whole,
All right.
yeah, we gotta have.
And also Lake Parsippany, which
You
is
know what?
supposed to be a
Mayor,
private
can you just give that
community.
information to Khalid? So
It's
he's got it, he
open
can
to the
disperse it?
public.
Oh, I have all that information, so
Oh, you
it's,
have it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, you can't. No question.
No, no,
question.
absolutely.
See, no one else can. No one?
Can I just add one statement that I forgot to mention?
We can't, no.
Way back when they went out.
Ma'am, you can't, we can't do it. We have rules of the 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Thank you for your time.
If you have any additional information, though, that you want to give to us, just give it to the clerk, and we'll all get it.
Good evening, honorable council members and Mayor Soriano. My name is Tamara Jolly. I live at 145 Patriots Road. I am here.
If you could just speak up for the members in the back, I
Sure.
apologize.
I get so nervous.
Yeah,
I
don't be
am
nervous.
here this evening for two reasons. The first is to thank you for your unanimous approval of the single-use plastic bag ban ordinance. Criticism often is the only currency of our current political discourse. As a resident of Parsippany-Troy Hills, I express my appreciation for your action in addressing the township's ecological well-being. The second is, I would like also to ask for your participation in the Smokey Bear Birthday Banner Challenge. Smokey turned 75 on August 9th. The goal of the Banner Challenge is to have as many people in as many places pose with the banner to wish him a happy birthday. The photos are then posted to a special Facebook page celebrating 75 years of Smokey Bear. Remember, only you can prevent wildfires. Thank you. Oh, and this is the banner.
Sure.
Everybody loves Smokey.
Where are the Girl Scouts? You usually come with the Girl Scouts.
I usually do. They're at home this evening with their dad.
Hello, my name is Jean Eichinger, and I'm here from Wawa. I'm actually here from Pennsylvania, but representing 350 New Road. And the reason that I'm here today is it's horrible stepping up after her, but I just have a couple questions about the ordinance that I don't think has yet actually been voted on. But one is to ask for an exemption for our soup and side bags. For safety reasons, which I actually discussed. I sent a letter to Khalid, which I think he probably distributed to everyone, and discussed with Loretta and Janice on the phone. It's in our stores, we use a small bag when our customers come and get soups or sides that are hot. And what I'm asking is for an exemption for the safety of both of our associates and our customers. So in your ordinance, it doesn't allow for a bag like that. And then I have two other things. My other one is just clarification on the take back, if someone could explain what the take back program that's mentioned in the ordinance is. And then the third thing would be the SNAP provision that wouldn't allow a retailer to charge a SNAP participant because the USDA actually says that we can't give any exemptions to them. So if I were to be charged for it, they can't. Might not necessarily be covered by SNAP, but they have to be treated the same as you and I would be treated.
So first, I mean, I think the idea is when this goes forward, sometime in January or February, that they probably will, the idea is to form some sort of committee to look at that, those kinds of things, and address them at the time. And in the meantime, I've spoken to some other establishments who have raised some issues like this. So, and they're looking into ways to work around some of those things. So I think, that's something that we have to look forward. I spoke with Mr. Lott about the SNAP program, and I don't know if you have any.
we exempted SNAP recipients from paying the mandatory bag fee.
Okay. I mean, I just have what the USDA has told us and what, other townships are saying to us, so.
Yeah, I think what, I can take a closer look at this, but I think what USDA wants to prevent is that SNAP recipients can't be treated any less favorably. I don't think there's any prohibition on treating a SNAP recipient more favorably.
It's hard for a retailer, for us to question people about, their particular economical situation, and some people want to put senior provisions in as well. That's very hard for us, and I think it's embarrassing too for people who are, a SNAP participant to think that, they would rather just pay the 5 or 10 or 20 cents or whatever it is. So if you could just consider that as well. We've offered some other townships some, reusable bags that they could give out at their township. So people like, SNAP participants can use those instead of, having to worry about paying 10 cents for a reusable bag or 10 cents for a paper bag. So maybe something you could consider in your ordinance.
Let me ask you, I'm sorry, what establishment or?
Wawa.
Wawa. A lot of the shore communities already have these laws in place. What happens in those communities?
Okay, so depends on which community. If you look at Stone Harbor, and I'll pick Stone Harbor and Avalon because they are the ones with the most restrictive provisions in their ordinance. They don't allow plastic, and you have to pay for paper there. So similar to what you are. They also have a lot of other plastic provisions in there, but they promote reusable. So
What do they do about the soup?
the soup inside, in Avalon, soup inside was permitted. In Stone Harbor, soup inside, we use a paper bag for it. We still have a concern with it, just from the safety perspective, because it causes condensation.
Have there been any safety incidents since the ban went into place?
Only with our associates.
How many incidents?
I think 2.
I work in hospitality and food service, so.
Yeah, and we looked at some of the establishments as well, and Whole Foods does it a little bit differently. They put it in cardboard and then wrap it.
Right.
So, there's different, so I think that's something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
So,
Well, ShopRite sells these cooked chickens, and you always put that in a plastic wrapper before you
right,
take it out.
yeah.
So those are going to be illegal too, I guess.
Well, I did speak with ShopRite about that as well, and they are looking into it.
They're looking for an exception too, as I understand it.
Well, yeah, they said they were gonna look
For-
into, well, one of the things that they're gonna do is they're gonna look at ShopRite in Hoboken, and see what they're doing, so there's some things in the works, and the mayor can tell you that they're working on it, and, they're probably gonna form that committee. Yeah, so,
And I applaud you, and I actually was very surprised at exactly how environmental your community is and how they care about it. So with all the waterways around here, I understand it, I get it. It's not that we don't want to comply, we just want to make sure our associates and our customers are safe. So, and if there are other ideas or other things that we can do to, still get to the same solution, we're all about that. Unfortunately, manufacturing of containers and hasn't caught up with expectations yet. So I think more to come on this, but Wawa's really, wants to do this. It's not that we don't want to do it. We just, again, want to make sure our associates and our customers are safe. And we want to make sure that we don't offend our customers with the SNAP thing
Right. Sure.
as well, so.
And the concern is that if the container spills it better holds a hot product in a plastic bag than it does in a paper or cardboard
Well,
container?
the paper actually causes condensation, so what happens, the paper isn't right sized because it doesn't have handles. So they have to close the top, and when they close the top, what you put in it's 177 degrees or thereabouts, so it forms condensation,
Paper bag will fall
and
right
so it weakens the bag. A lot of people choose to now just take a napkin and carry it instead of, or trying to force it into the, the coffee carrier. But
I see.
it's our best solution that we have. We do have language on the bags that says, it is reusable and how to recycle it. We are trying to be as environmentally friendly, but again, conscious and safe for our customers and associates.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see no one else come forward, entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion. Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Floor is closed.
Mr. DePiero?
Ordinance 2019:40, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 360, Streets and Sidewalks of the Code of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 20th, 2019, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 17th, 2019, at 7 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2019:41, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, authorizing the sale of certain township-owned real property located at Block 765, Lot 8.1, and Block 765, Lot 66, in accordance with the local lands and building law, NJSA 40A:12-1, ETSEQ. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on the first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 20th, 2019, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 17th, 2019 at 7 p.m. prevailing time or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Ms. Grignani,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2019-42, ordinance of the Township Council of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for retirement payouts and authorizing a special emergency appropriation of $305,935 therefore. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 20th, 2019, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and first passage at a meeting to be held on September 17th, 2019 at 7 p.m. prevailing time or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning that ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with a notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Before I read ordinance 2019:43, in our paperwork, section 1, it says, for the purpose of paying the liability resulting from the township master plan project. What liability do we have with the master plan?
May I? The
Yes,
total
please.
cost of the the master plan is 135,000.
Okay, but it says liability. What is?
Yeah, it means it's accounts payable. We owe the money. We
Oh.
will have to pay it. So, because it's a long-term project, we thought it best to pay it over 5 years.
So to answer your question, it's not a legal term, it's a financial term, because I see where you were going with that, Ms. Grignani.
Yes.
So that's where she was going with that.
Financial
It's a financial liability, not illegal, but good question.
My question was answered. Thank you. Ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for township master plan and authorizing a special emergency appropriation of $135,000 therefore. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August the 20th, 2019, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 17th, 2019 at 7 p.m. prevailing time or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2019:44, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, establishing a trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release program. I still can't get used to that other. It was TNR for years. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 20th, 2019, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 17th, 2019, at 7 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
A long time coming. Absolutely yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2019:45, an ordinance of the Township Council of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, amending Chapter 4, Article, what is that, 13? What is that?
18.
What is it?
It's 18. 10,
13,
5.
yeah. Administration of the Government
3.
Department of Emergency Medical Service in Chapter A 445:19.1, fees, compilation, emergency medical service of the Code of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on the first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 20th, 2019, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 17th, 2019 at 7 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2019-38, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 290 Parks, Recreation Areas, and Public Lands of the Code of Parsippany-Troy Hills. The notice for the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on July 22nd, 2019. This ordinance was introduced at the July 16th regular meeting. Motion to accept that the ordinance 2019-38 be heard in its second and final reading by title only.
Need a second?
Second.
Oh, second. Oh, you got it?
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Public hearing on 2019:38 only. Motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 2019:38.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
The floor is open to the public on this ordinance only.
Could someone just explain exactly what it is being, I didn't read it, or?
These are the fees for the parks and recreation. They're just doing a necessary, like an increase in fees as they normally would. It's not a major increase, but it's just revising the fees.
It doesn't say fee.
Good point.
Yeah, but the fees are contained in that chapter. So they use the chapter heading.
Seeing no one else come forward, I make a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2019-38.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Floor is closed.
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that the ordinance be passed on final reading and that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 2019:39, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, authorizing the acquisition of the property identified as Block 146, Lot 1, on the tax map of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills pursuant to the local land and building law. The notice for the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on August the 8th, 2019. This ordinance was introduced at the August 5th, 2019 regular meeting. Motion to accept that ordinance 2019:39 be heard in its second and final reading by title only.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 2019:39.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Floor is open to the public on this ordinance only.
I'll just note for the record that this is the Henry Street ordinance that essentially winds up the arrangements that we had with Newbridge and Rose House and provides for the conveyance of the property to the township for open space use. There's a companion resolution on the non-consent agenda that authorizes the payment of expenses that were incurred by Habitat for Humanity, Resolution 2019-171, as part of the wind-up. The ordinance itself, in addition to conveying the property, does authorize the payment of expenses for Newbridge and Rose House.
Okay, please state your name and address. You'll be given 3 minutes for this.
Sure. Trey Parikh, 791 Park Road. I've been here a few times, specifically for this matter, and I want to thank everyone, all the council members, and Mr. Lott. You have worked the negotiating with Newbridge and Mayor's office, and also Mr. Gasmark. Thanks, everyone, and I think this kind of resolves the matter for all the neighbors So appreciate everyone's help here.
Bob Bars, I also just want to say thank you once again. I think this is the final drum roll on this, and all I'm asking is that this passes, that we get the house on the property removed as soon as possible, leveled out and graded, and Patrick and I will try to do our best to see to it that it's a nice piece of property.
So I
Thank you
forgot
very
to
much
mention that the
for everybody that helped.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, Mr. Barnes, that the ordinance also does authorize the demolition of the house.
What's the time factor we're looking at?
We have the money appropriated, we have to go out to contract for it. I don't know without probably
There's a
talking to
bidding
the
process.
engineer. Yeah, there's a bidding
There's a
process.
bidding
Talk
process.
to
That's
the
gonna take some
engineer.
time.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
I have to say thank you on that too, because that was a piece of property that should be saved, and I'm so glad that it did, especially for the residents and the aesthetics of the area up there. So thanks for everybody who worked on it.
Motion to close.
Nick Comack, I
Sorry.
put my 2 cents in too. That's Parsippany rocks up there. So it's more than just an ordinary landscape. All right, thanks.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
A motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Floor is closed.
Whereas the above ordinance was read in the title on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that said ordinance be passed on final reading, and that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Mr. DePiero. A roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Piero?
Resolution 2019-171. Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills authorizing the reimbursement to Morris Habitat for Humanity of monies spent in furtherance of affordable housing project at 9 Henry Street. Motion to approve the resolution above.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Ms. McCarthy. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
R 2019-172, resolution of the Township Council of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills authoring a shared service agreement for emergency basic life support ambulance service with the Township of Montville. Motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McCarthy, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution 2019-175, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills approving a second amendment to the November 10th, 2015 settlement agreement and release between the Township and RD Realty LLC. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Consent agenda. Be it resolved, all items listed with an asterisk are routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and would be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Grignani, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero.
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Approval of payroll and bills list. CFO Ann Cucci recommends authorization for payment. Item 1, authorize payment of the August 23rd, 2019 regular and miscellaneous payroll estimated at $1,700,000. Item 2, payment of bills from voucher list of 8/2/19 through 8/17/19 totaling $19,634,373.10. Motion to approve the authorization for payment above.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Lot, do I need to add anything for tonight's closed session?
Yes, I'd like to go into closed session to talk about the Carriffy litigation.
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the Township Council wishes to discuss contract negotiations, Fire District 1, and Carriffy litigation, and whereas minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires confidentiality, the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills that the public be excluded from this meeting. Motion to adjourn in a closed session.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Ms. Peterson, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Okay, and we don't anticipate any action being taken, just for the record. We are now going to convene into closed session.
Now I'm freezing. Oh, it's like walk-in temperature.
All right, we're back on the record, everybody. We need a
Motion to reconvene.
Motion, we need a second.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Ms. Peterson. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani?
Yes.
Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
Okay, now we need,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Ms. Grignani. Roll call, Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Ms. Grignani? Yes. Ms. Peterson?
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy?
Yes.
We are adjourned.